So dudes, so the Middle East and North Africa are getting added to the Rainbow Six Siege esports global circuit, which is a big step for the game in my opinion, in terms of this part of the world's representation on a stage in the cyber athletic arena. But it also got me thinking from an art design perspective for the game, and how there are many parts of the Middle East and North Africa that have been touched up on, with Moroccan operators Nomad and Qaed and Oryx from Jordan. The military history of this region is fascinating to me, although obviously quite a heated topic in the past couple of decades. For starters, here is the full concept idea with the format lifted from the live panel reveal for Solus relatively recently. The character design incorporates a lot of iconography regarding birds of prey. This is directly inspired by the Thunderbolt Forces patch he is a part of, as well as the job description, dropping from really freaking high altitudes into hot zones. So high that he's got a rebreather on. Not a pilot, but a paratrooper. Egypt needs paratroopers for a number of reasons I'll explain. Egypt is an Arab North African country bordering the Mediterranean Sea. Quite literally, 95% of its population lives within a little under 12.5 miles of the Nile River and its delta. But that population of over 100 million makes it the most numerous in the entire Arab world. The key points of contention for its military are the Sinai Peninsula and the Western Desert. A lot is classified on the Egyptian Special Forces. Learning resources concerning them are also, for the most part, in Arabic. I can't read Arabic. What I'll be focusing on for the most part are the Halo jumpers. Most of the well-known units, like 777 or 999, were created by President Anwar Sadat in the 70s. Sadat wanted a self-sufficient military that could tackle terrorist threats without having to rely on assistance from other countries. Unfortunately, since then, the situation in Egypt has remained quite tense. Following a shoots and ladders game of political revolutions, contentious election cycles, and a brief military takeover, the Egyptian people are trying to maintain firm ground on democracy, while its government regularly conducts counterinsurgency operations in the northern Sinai Peninsula. Now, you might look at a map and go, wait a minute, Greg, why is Egypt bombing its own territory? I didn't know Egypt was at war with anybody. Well, they're not. They just have a problem with hostile NPCs. Outside the city walls. Basically, it's like this, okay? So you live in DC, the capital, and things are, on a good day, fine. But if you're in Richmond, the Air Force is quite literally conducting air raids on Eden's Gate motherfuckers living outside the city. Now, take this, and you add tourism being an important part of your economy. So you'll encourage people to go to Washington, DC, but they can't go to Richmond because of the airstrike thing. See the problem? Egypt also has a ton of geopolitical responsibility because they control the Suez Canal, which is right next to that place I mentioned where you got the, motherfuckers like to blow up key infrastructure near the canal, which can have repercussions literally across the entire planet. If all this talk about canals is making you remember that ship that got stuck a while ago, yeah, you're right. That's the canal we're talking about. Remember how that was headline news for weeks? That's why. Anyway, let's talk about the specifics. So the Egyptians rely very heavily on their air force, and they equip it very well. Why? Geography. Like I said, the population for the most part is near the Nile River, right? So anywhere that isn't the Nile River is basically just a desert plateau. How do you traverse the desert quickly and efficiently? You don't. You go over it in an airplane. So our guy's a paratrooper, and I feel like weapon-wise, he'll need something lightweight. So the G36C fits the bill, as well as the short-barreled M870, which I think would be a lot of fun to use on attack. The Egyptians favor the Beretta 92, so that's a no-brainer. In fact, their inventory in general is quite diverse and features planes, tanks, and small arms from every corner of the globe. These are all pretty viable, well-balanced weapons that I can see this guy using. So on to the artistic themes. So we're going for the unit here that has a brand with a bird of prey attacking a serpent. Halo jumper. So the operator icon would look something like this. I pictured a peregrine falcon. Now, I can't draw for shit. I traced this guy in Adobe Illustrator. Somebody who's better at this could probably do something like it instead. Alternatively, you could do a silhouette of a bird. I think that would also work. But we've got a character design, right? Maybe in the operator video, he jumps out of one of these Egyptian colored C-130s that seem to be wherever this unit is doing something, and then we'd show off the gadget. So I think in the operator video, this guy doing a halo jump and then demonstrating the gadget, maybe, in the middle of the halo jump, or maybe by the time he lands on the ground, something like that, I think it'd be really, really cool. So for attackers, I think there is a lot of room to explore unique types of drones, and this is the gadget idea. At the moment, we have a lot of drones that are great for passive intel or for active maneuvering around a map, but one thing we don't have for attackers is a directional flying drone of some kind. The first thing that I thought of was the Valorant Sova drone, but in the context of that game, it's very slow and it's used exclusively for one purpose, tagging opponents with one wallhack dart. I think copy-pasting the functionality of that drone and just making it faster wouldn't really work, because wallhack abilities in general are a great way to activate line flashbacks. Not to mention, it just doesn't seem like a very fun gadget to use in the context of Siege. Plus, it's not really exciting character design, right? Like, he flies out of the sky to land on the ground and then play point and click with the drone. That just sounds kind of lame. So I had a different idea when I remembered how the Valkyrie rocket from Black Ops worked. Unlike the Predator missiles of old that deployed from the sky, the Valkyrie shot out from a launcher you controlled on the ground. So it was basically like a POV missile. And flying Flores drones don't really make sense to me, considering there'd be no disadvantage in using it over Flores, and would relegate this guy to more of a support role. So I think the gadget should have some kind of intel capability, but not a copy-paste of the SOVA functionality. I think what instead you should do is give it a dual function. Raptor's drone can do one of two things. He can either throw the gadget into a room for it to activate an AoE ping, or you could use an ability to remotely control the device mid-flight and be able to navigate it around the map. This way, a more aggressive follow-up play is still possible, but the gadget can also be used to get intel deeper into the map as well. To make sure that he's not a one-man army with that throwing capability, I don't think the G36 is going to get any scopes, but the drone would be small enough to go through small holes made by shotguns and breaching charges, hence the gadget choices. I think 2, maybe 3 of these drones. Flashes are a good synergy combo with this idea. Obviously, the drone could be countered by mute or just shot out of the sky, while also making a sound cue. So there would be some proper counterplay. And it wouldn't effectively replace the job of other roam clear operators, since this is more designed to clear one particular room than get global intel or crowd control via Doker Lion. It's a bit of an involved concept, but one that I think is worth exploring. And more importantly, I think giving the Middle East, North Africa region a character to root for would go a long way from a marketing point of view, as well as the diplomatic endeavors that I love so much about Rainbow to begin with. But that's my idea for Raptor in Rainbow Six Siege. Let me know if you guys have any ideas for yourself with this character. What do you think of the thematic concept we got going here? And if anybody from Egypt is watching this video, I hope you liked it. I hope I gave your country and your armed forces the credit that they deserve. So thank you so much. See you guys on Tuesday.